have a place to come in from. Your I/O will need to be routed, and I'm going to have you custom route these, okay? Your I/O will be routed. And I think, hold on, let me just double check. Let me confirm. The input routing that we all share. Okay, cool. All right, your input routing essentially is going to look like this. And what I want, I'm going to modify it. Starting with channel 1, it's going to be line 5. Channel 2, so if jot this down, this will be step 2, which will be routing your inputs. Your input routing will be channel 1, line 5. Channel 2, line 6. Channel 3, line 7. Channel 4, line 8. Follow me so far on that? So essentially you're starting from the line group and you're going to go line 5, or 5, 6, 7, and 8. So channel 1, line 5, channel 2, line 6, channel 3, line 7, channel 4, line 8. And then what we're going to do is have you on channel 5, mic 1, channel 5, or 6, mic 2, channel 7, mic 3, channel 8, mic 4, and the last 2 channels, we're going to use this as a duplicate of line 5 and line 6, and I'll tell you why that works. So the last 2 channels are going to be channel 9, line 5, and channel 10, line 6. Did you guys catch that? Get that info? Do you need to run it again? Yeah, raise your hand if you got it all. Okay, so some people didn't so far. Okay, so I'll back it up. So channel 1, line 5, channel 2, line 6, channel 3, line 7. This is actually track 4, line 8, track 5, mic 1, track 6, mic 2, track 7 is mic 3, track 8 is mic 4, and then track 9 is line 5, track 10 is line 6. Now, typically, you will always manually route your inputs of each track, okay? So, good news, bad news, every time you set up a session, when you do, you know how you do your I/O mapping that you do every time you do your startup process? Even after that is done, you have to go into your session, you have to create new tracks, and you will have to itemize the input routing for each track.
You can't say this is like a...
You can. You can save it as a template. But it's actually useless as soon as the configuration changes. Does that make sense? So like, because I have a lot of people that want to do this for drums, because they're always like, well, drums are so cumbersome, we always want to do templates for drums. Well, as soon as you have a drummer come in and go, all right, I play a 4-piece drum kit, 2 toms, kick and snare, and then just a standard array of cymbals, and then the next drummer comes in and says, well, I play a 5-piece, the routing changes. Does that make sense? Just by adding 1 additional mic required, the routing scheme changes because the order of the tracks, essentially, I should say, in most cases, from an audio engineer standpoint, the goal is all mic inputs should be 1 for 1, and they should start from 1. Does that make sense? So like the easiest way to do routing is to start from 1, which means if the toms end up in the middle of the listing, because it usually goes kick, snare, hat, tom, and then after toms are cymbals and overheads and room mics. And so to insert an additional tom, instead of adding it at the end of the list, it makes it awkward, so they always add it back into the middle, which means that everybody after the additional tom gets bumped back to channel input. Does that make sense? So it just makes the configuration kind of tough to do the same thing all day. The other thing is just taste. Taste, if I'll be honest, like if you will not necessarily, well, I'll say you could do a good job, but it's not preferable as an engineer to record the drums the same way every time. So, like, because you have one band coming in that's a rock band, and then the next band that's coming in is a funk band, you don't do the same setup. Does that make sense? Like, you even the mics that you choose, they're all going to be different based upon the style. Like, jazz uses a completely different array of microphones than rock music will. Pop music's the same way. It's like as soon as you transition to a different genre, not only does your mic setup change, the mic count will change. You know, you're going to use a lot of room mics for like modern, rock or indie, things like that. You don't need those room mics when you go to jazz because you don't use them in that kind of fashion. You're going to use a lot of the overheads, but you don't need big rooms, so those don't even exist. So I think because of the customizable nature of it all, you don't necessarily get to save the template. You could save it, but the only time it's really useful is if you're doing, like I said, Monday, if you're doing a whole album and the setup is exactly the same from song to song to song. But again, even then, like if I'm producing an album, I don't want the setup to be the same from song to song to song. Because I want to customize the setups for, I mean, there may be an array of songs that should have the same setup, but there's another whole grouping of songs that have to have a textured feel and they should have a different vibe. You know what I mean? So we're not, it doesn't feel so like cookie cutter across the board, like the drums are just the same. It'd be the same, it'd be as awkward as if like all of the music was just the same, there's so much you can do with that. In that, notice what the outputs say. In your next step, step 3, set outputs, all outputs, which is the listing underneath. So this is the input. Notice it says I/O. The first one is the input. Second one is the output. The output should always be set to, in this instance, just for this room, the line O, which is line out, 1, 2 stereo. Okay? So when you do all of your tracks, make sure they're all set to that line out, 1, 2 stereo. We're going to get into that a little bit later, but this is where we are now. After you do this, what I would like for you to do is I would like for you to set all your panners, these are your panners, your left-right pan pair, to stereo, left-right in pairs. So essentially they'll go left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. So this is step 4, right. After this, in step 5, and I will leave this, I'll leave this configuration up for you. You're going to double click, step 5, double click the nameplate. And you're essentially going to title all the tracks. I'll leave this listing up for you so you can see it. But if you want to write this down, this might help expedite your process. First one, all I'm going to do is a basic guitar. Guitar left. The key command, notice what you're going to do is hit next, but the key command for next is command and arrow down. Or I'm sorry, yeah, it's command and arrow down. So command plus arrow down. When you're in this menu, you have to be in this menu after you double click it the first time. So you have to double click the nameplate to label it. So double click the nameplate to label it. Command, or type in the first name like I did, guitar, GTR left. Command plus the down arrow kicks you to the next one. Notice it says audio 2. This one will be guitar right. Oops. Command down. The next one will be keys left. Command down. The next one will be keys right. Where am I getting my left and right from?
Stereo.
Yeah, essentially my stereo routing. And then let's see. Let's do horn 1. This one will not be left. This will just be horn 1. Command down. Horn 2. Seven and 8. I'm going to make this drums left and drums right. And these last two will just basically be This will be background vocal, BGV left, and BGV right. And if you can read those listings, you might want to jot these down in your notes. And when we do the drill, it's just easier to do these than having to look on screen because you can just read them off your notes. Now this will be a little difficult for you to do from memory, so I won't require you to do the titling from memory. The point of the fact is for you to get used to naming the tracks. We're going to go into drills, and I'm going to have you do the routing, and I'm going to have you do the titling of the tracks. But I will want to mention this. So one of the big no-nos, huge red flag in working in any session, but particularly Pro Tools. Please jot this down. Never record audio before naming your track. Okay? So the tracks have to be labeled first. Never record audio before naming the track. If you don't know what the track is, just make something up. You know, that happens a lot. But most of the time you can figure out what the track is. You know what you're recording. You know, I mean, like I put a kick drum in front of a microphone. What am I recording? Kick drum, right? So it's super simple. But never record before naming the track. The reason you don't record before naming the track, by default, the computer system will label the track based upon the number of order it was designed in. So notice the number of order that it was designed in originally. It said audio 1 through 10. If I go in and make a new track, what is it called? What is it? Audio 1. If I then, okay, so then, you know, I mean, let's just say I keep going. What'll happen is it'll continuously add these numbers. Well, that's not an issue by itself. I mean, if I know what I'm recording, I can keep track of the numbers, right? Especially if I'm only doing a couple things. The real issue that takes place, the very big difficulty that takes place is Pro Tools. When it searches, it has to index information from the computer's hard drive. It's looking, when you record audio track 1, it's looking for something titled audio track 1. If you go and create another new session, and you do the same thing, all of a sudden now it has to decipher it creates a unique ID code, but it has to decipher audio 1 from this session versus audio 1 from the next session. You go do that 10 times, and then all of a sudden you have a lot of variables for what audio 1 could be. And I'll tell you, you know, it doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen where you have to rebuild a session because something went wrong with the session itself, and you have to do it solely based upon track IDs, which means you have to know what the tracks were called, and you have to be able to locate them. And when you do a search on the system, you go into the Finder and you type in what you're looking for. Like you type in, I'm looking for a kick drum. It'll be a very limited range of kick drums that you'll see labeled versus if you were just looking for anything called audio 1. Does that make sense? So like labeling this is super crucial for organizing a session. The other thing is if you press record when it's titled audio 1, in the clips list, it'll always stay audio 1 until you relabel it. And then it won't change the label of what's already been recorded, but anything new that's recorded will now be relabeled. The issue with that, of course, being that even in your own clips list, you're going to have to decipher what did that even mean. Real quick note, in addition to the stuff that you've already written down, please enter this key command. Command plus the equal sign. Command plus the equal sign. This is a toggle between mix and edit window. You'll need it immediately because by default, all of you should have opened up with the edit window visible, right? That's where you should be. So you'll immediately need to know how to toggle. It's command plus the equal sign. Let's go ahead and switch over to doing some drills. And we're going to start by that section that says create new tracks. So the first thing I want you to do is you're going to go ahead and do this using your notes as quickly as you can. You're going to create your 10 new tracks, and they're audio tracks. So you're going to create your 10 new audio tracks, and then you're going to route those